Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Battlefront Dayton 2025 a wrap-up live stream. We have a ton of stuff to get through today. We've got our tournament directors are in the wings. My man Doug Thorpe is here to talk us through his experience at the event. And hopefully, Tom Haver will also be joining us. He is actually right now at PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia, running events and helping out with some of the Renegade shenanigans that are going on out there. So we hope to be able to get him relatively soon. I'm testing a new microphone today. Please let us know if if you can hear me and if you can see me and all of this is actually working. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Doug. You're already commenting, and you're already having fun. That's all I ever really want for you, Doug, is for you to have a good time. Rick Brunel, thank you very much. Great to see you here, my friend. And let us know about the audio and where you're tuning in from, and if you were at Battlefront Dayton and what questions you had coming out of that. We're going to talk about diplomacy, and we're going to talk about Heroscape. And then we're going to talk about, of course, the Axis and Allies events, and we'll also be I'll be sending out a link here in just a minute when we get closer to talking about it. Thank you, Adam. Thank you all for being members, by the way. We really appreciate that. All of our members here are chiming in. We appreciate that. Yeah, okay, there's Tom. Tom is in the chat. I'm not sure he's going to be able to join us by voice or video or whatever it is this contraption does. But yeah, so we'll be talking about all of that, and we have results from the time study that we've been doing, and they're interesting, but they're still being collected. So I don't want everybody to see what we have and go crazy about it, but it is worth talking about, and we are going to be talking about it a little bit today. We may, depending on the interest, need to schedule a separate live stream that would talk more about that. Tom, I believe I sent you that link a little while ago via Discord. Nope, I didn't hit return. My bad. There it is. Apologies. Sorry, Tom. I got a lot of buttons here. Okay, there's a lot of things happening on the screen that you guys can't see. It's very involved. So I appreciate your patience. But awesome. So thank you, Brian. This is what. So little confession, real quick. When we were packing to leave to go to Battlefront Dayton, I posted a picture in the van with everything loaded up, and this shirt was hanging over the dolly that we had, right? And it wasn't until we got to Dayton that I realized that the only two Board Game Nation shirts at all that I brought, no polos, no Battlefront Day t-shirts, nothing. I brought two. I had a black one and I had a red one. And thankfully there was laundry services available at the hotel, which is why you saw me in only the black and the red for the entirety of the weekend, because those are the only two shirts that I had the entire time. So here's my green one. This is the first time I've actually worn it. Anyway, but it worked out. Hey, big shout out real quick to Gary Thorley from Brisbane. Man, this was one of the nicest things. I was talking to the convention manager at the Hope Hotel. We were having some meeting, and she said that I got a package in the mail at the hotel. And I'm like, what is it? And she didn't know it was still sealed. I said, well, open it up. She said it's from Australia. And I'm like, okay, I don't know what this is. But she opens it up, and this was inside. It was a little pack with a bunch of really fun kind of Australian military force stuff, which was very cool. And we put it, Jamie, there was one for me and one for Jamie. And we put it actually on my badge. So Gary, thank you very much for sending it. It did see action, such as it is, at the convention, and we got a lot of questions about it. So thank you very much. That was a very thoughtful gift, and it greeted us there when we arrived at the Hope Hotel. So thank you very much for that. That was very, very kind. We appreciate that. Battlefront Brisbane. Yes, I love that plan. By the way, I'm to be honest, like the current like dream scenario. I've had a couple of people asking about Battlefront Brussels. Anybody want to go to the NATO headquarters in Brussels? I think that'd be exceptionally cool. But all right, so okay. So Tom's having trouble with the Wi-Fi at the hotel. Cell service usually does the job, Tom. If that's an option for you. Okay, so let me jump through something real quick. I wanted to try something a little bit new. Let's see if this works before we even bring Doug on. I've moved to the left. It's magic. So I want to tick through real quick some of the events that we had. The triathlon. We'll see if we can get Tom on here to talk with us about it here in just a couple of minutes. But our winner was Robert Zahn. He won the first triathlon, and Tom Haver gave him a sword, like a proper like champagne sword that's just designed to like cut the tops off of champagne bottles. That's what that sword is for. And it was, I thought it was very cool. I thought it was a very cool prize to win. And then of course, Tom always has just like an enormous amount of stuff to give away to folks, which is pretty cool. So that was a great event, and I think everybody that played in it had a really good time. So, but then we also had. We'll double back to this if Tom can connect here. We're going to see he's going to try to dial in. But we also had Heroscape, and Joe Picorni. I hope I'm saying that correctly. Picorni, aka Sour Cream, for those of you in the Heroscape community that would know him online, he goes by Sour Cream, and he was our Valkyrie Trials winner. He won a very cool figure and the card to go with it, as well as a ticket to the World Championship at Gen Con. We now have Tom. Tom, go horizontal for me, please. But he won a ticket to the World Championship at Gen Con. And not only that, but a buy into day 2 of Gen Con, which is also very, very cool. So we now have Tom. So I'm going to try to jump over to Tom real quick and see how this goes. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Tom, you're here?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hey, welcome to the show, Tom. Great to see you,
All
brother.
right.
How's Philadelphia?
Lots of cheesesteaks here. People love
Yes,
it.
there are. If I remember that convention center correctly, there is actually a giant food court directly across the street to the north, and they have a bunch of like really, really great Philadelphia food in that space. And of course, cheesesteak is is right at the top of the list. So, well, awesome. Make sure you make it if you get a chance to get over there. Make sure you do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, how do you think it went at Battlefront Dayton for diplomacy?
I think it was great. This was the world's first diplomacy triathlon. So it's always iffy because for the final game, which is the Golden Blade, this was going to be the first time that many of those people ever played the game. So you don't know how they're going to react. And most of the players there, of course, were familiar with diplomacy, period. So like that was the first round to sort of ease them in. And I was really, I would say, pleased with the outcome of the event. We had really fun games in round 2, Era of Empire, which was just released in August. So it's also a relatively new game. And the players really had fun in Era and Golden Blade. I'm glad that I put in the tiebreakers, though, because the result of the Golden Blade game meant that we had to go to the second tiebreaker for tournament championship to actually decide the winner.
Wow. And I imagine that's pretty uncommon.
Yeah, you typically have some form of separation, especially if it's just diplomacy, because players sort of keep track of their scores. They pretend that they don't, but ultimately they do. They're doing the little calculation in their head of like, oh, I need to, squeeze out this extra supply center to win. But because of the placement system that we used in there, similar to Olympics, it's like gold, silver, bronze for second, third place, relative to each one of the events meant that it's possible for players to tie on placements very easily, which they did. And then I had to go down the line of, how many medals did you win overall? what was your combined tournament score for you to take the actual scores for those games to actually get an end result. So it was exceptionally close. Razor's edge, you might say, tip of the sword went over to Rob Zahn over
There,
Phil Burke.
there you go. There you go. Well, that's awesome. And, both of those guys are seasoned diplomacy players, and we've seen them at Gen Con the last few years, and I'm sure that they play in other events. So I'm glad that they were able to come and to enjoy, the event and see what Battlefront Dayton was about. And hopefully we get more diplomacy players in the future for that event. So do you think that the triathlon is something that you're going to continue to, is that a format you're going to continue to use, do you think?
Absolutely. We're already committed to at least three other triathlon events next year. Circle DC in Washington, DC in April, BGG Spring in Dallas, Texas in May, and then BGG Con, which is actually going on at the same weekend, but it'll be 2026 edition in November. We'll also host triathlon. We're expected to release the Golden Blade sometime in April of next year. And so once it becomes more widely available, and we're sure we're going to have some additional interest, we had some great feedback from the people who demoed the game at Battlefront Dayton. That was also sort of a special treat to see people learning it for the first time, not necessarily in a competitive environment, but with like groups of friends to see how they react to, I'd say, that style of game that, I was thinking it would be closer to say like Werewolf meets Seven Wonders, but in some of the reactions from players, they were saying, "Hey, this reminds me of playing like Magic: The Gathering Commander,
Yeah,
style," which was like
a lot of the
really cool
Heroscape
stuff.
guys said that. Some of our friends over at Tabletop Bastion did a recap of their experience. They're Heroscape players, and they did a recap video of their experience at Battlefront Dayton, and they talked about how much they loved playing Golden Blade. And I thought that was pretty cool because we always try to like cross pollinate whenever possible, right? Try to get Axis and Allies players to
Mhm.
play other games, and Heroscape players to play other games, diplomacy players to play other games, and man cannot live by cardboard alone, right? There's got to be some other things mixed in. But the Golden Blade won our very first um, Ignis Award, and Tom accepted that on Rosco Schock's behalf. That is our very first award. Basically, the question that we asked our attendees was, "What do you think was the best game that you learned at Battlefront Dayton?" Right? We put out a survey and we asked a bunch of questions, and that was the primary one. Um, and the the results came back. It was very close. It was very close. The results came back, and it was Diplomacy Golden Blade by one vote, and which was amazing. The runners up were Song for War, Mediterranean Theater by Invicta Rex Games, which is a great game. And then immediately, I think they were tied actually for second and third, was Axis and Allies Naval Miniatures, which is a game that's been out of print for quite some time. We are hoping to see that get the attention of some folks and try to get that back in action in the not so distant future. But the winner was Diplomacy of the Golden Blade, which is amazing because the game that was being played wasn't even the final product. It was still kind of a prototypey game that everybody was learning on, and Roscoe was teaching, and obviously he's the designer. He's obviously very passionate about it. But I will admit, like I there was some serious competition in this fight. Like Imperial Borders was in
Mhm.
there, War Room was in
Mhm.
there, Stalingrad, North Africa. Like all of these games were games that were being demoed.
Mhm.
General's Fortress came down with three really fun and engaging games. A Battle for the States, Overlord 44 was a really kind of big scale Normandy Invasion of Normandy game, and then they had another global war game. So there was some really big competition in this space, and so I'm pleased that so many people participated. We had over half of the people that were there actually voted, which I was happy about. So it was very good. I thought I was happy. Congratulations to Roscoe and to Renegade, and I still have to get Jordan the actual logo that they'll be able to use for marketing and acknowledging that award. But the
Mhm.
trophy was cool. Is the trophy around at PAX?
Yeah. Well, I have to thank you, Gary, for calling the Ignis or Fire Award because it cost me some extra time with the TSA this morning when as I was trying to rush to make my 6 a.m. flight. I, I tried to go through security screening, and they pulled me out and went through and scanned up the award, and they're like, "All right, it's actually pretty cool." It's what the TSA agent told me. I was able to bring it in. We've got it at PAX Unplugged at the Renegade booth. Roscoe is going to be on site, so we're going to get some pictures of him with the award. And I can say
Excellent. Send those to
also
me,
I was
please.
surprised it's going to be going home with him on there, so he's very happy with the honor on there.
Nice.
And I was also sort of pleasantly surprised by Golden Blade winning because there's such a strong contingent from Axis and Allies, and we can say in general like historical and wargaming there. And I think it goes to show because we had so many different people demo that game. One, it's very easy to teach. And I would say also very accessible to anyone in the community. The classic strategy, take that style game. So really, great time. And I would say, Gary, like going back to like our recorded video that we did for Renegade Con, it was just a two-player game. Like we didn't set up ahead of time like who's going to play what. We played an actual game like just live and recorded and see what's going to happen here. And we had multiple times towards the end of that game where either you or I could have won, and we pulled each other back. And the same thing we see across many games, not just play testing, but now that people see the like finished product. That last game to decide it was like this close. Well, let me go this way because my other hand won't show up on the screen.
There you go.
Was this close to deciding who's going to be the winner on here, and I was getting like eyeballs from some of the players like I could possibly win this, like if I take this guy down just enough, and I can jump up and do it. And it was very close, so photo finish games is what we see with Golden Blade a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, I think that's a lot of fun. I've I'm glad that Roscoe's going to be able to take the trophy home. I have to tell you, I did not occur to me that might be an issue at TSA. Um, I mean, it's just it's a big piece of acrylic, I suppose, and that I imagine that shows up in an odd way on an X-ray, right? Like it's just this big solid bar, right? That might be. I could see that. Yeah, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, all right. Well, you know, yeah, okay.
An
But
oddly shaped large piece of acrylic, they may think it was possibly used for something else. Is that what you're intimating, Gary?
yeah, that's not a great. I don't know. Oh well, it's fine. What are
Hey,
you gonna
this is
do?
a family show, Gary. This is a family
That's
show,
right.
all
That's
right?
right. But no, I thought it was good. And what I really liked about, I think one of the things that put the Golden Blade over the top really was the Heroscape guys that took the time to play it. I mean, several of them said that they voted for Golden Blade as their choice for the best game that they learned, and they did learn. I saw them out learning some of the other games, which was great. I love to see silos break open, right? So I think that's a lot of fun. So awesome.
It was really cool to also have a lot of the game designers present to teach their games. That's a really cool component. It's like Matt Hyra was there from Renegade. He flew all the way in from Los Angeles, and he's teaching his games that he worked on with Larry Harris. Larry Harris there teaching his games. You get to learn from the master. Rosco Schock there is the game designer teaching his own. So that's a cool component of Battlefront Dayton. I hope that continues in the future, where we just get to bring in all these designers and you get to learn from the people who created the game.
Yeah, and Seth was there from within Invicta Rex games. Both of the guys were there, so that was yeah. I mean, that was my goal, was to have as many designers there teaching their games as possible, and I was pleased to see as much of that happen as it did. And of course, Ray is the designer of the three games that he brought, right, from General's Fortress. So yeah, it was the only Larry was there, but he wasn't doing much of the teaching. We had Randy Van Dyke was doing the teaching for War Room and for Imperial Borders, and he had a full weekend. There's no doubt about that, because he was running both the War Room and Imperial Borders games at the same time. So it was we were pumping him with fluids, right? Like, keep drinking water.
Hook up the
It was a
IV.
lot. Yeah. All right, man. I will let you get back to the Philadelphia PAX Unplugged, and hopefully we will be able to work together again soon at another event. Maybe Well, we might be able to get Fort Circle or Fort Circle Games event Circle DC on the BGN calendar this year. We'll have to see. Um, lots of things coming up in the spring. So, but it's a great event. I hear wonderful things about it. If you're inclined, we talk about game designers. Like that's half of the people that go there seem like they're game designers. Uh,
Yeah,
so if you
I think
have an
they a
opportunity,
lot of them would have been at Battlefront Dayton this year, Gary, if not it being like on the same weekend as San Diego HistoryCon, SD HistCon was the same weekend because they I think it's viewed almost as like what you're doing in Battlefront Dayton is sort of like the Circle DC Midwest, like it's the same group of people, same sort of like overlap in war and historical. So there's a lot of praise about that. When I brought it up initially, Battlefront Dayton being started up, you had a lot of love out of the Fort Circle crowd. So I hope we get to have more crossover in the future. Bring it in. Yeah, hopefully get Shore. There it
yeah,
is, Shores of Tripoli.
it's
Kevin
one of the
Bertram.
Fort Circle games.
Yeah,
All right, awesome. Well, hopefully we'll get a chance to check that out. And I appreciate you taking the time and finding some cell service to get out to talk with us. But we got a lot to get through. But I appreciate the time, and we will talk again soon. Have a great night.
all right. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
All right, bye. All right, I am back up here. Thanks again to Tom. And if you got a chance to play Diplomacy Golden Blade, let us know what you thought about it in the comments. Like Tom said, I got a chance to play it with him when we made that video about it, and that's still available on the channel if you're interested. We made kind of a how to play playthrough video for it. It's a pretty the base mechanics are pretty simple, so it doesn't take a whole lot to sort that out. All right, so now it's Heroscape time. We've got two guys who absolutely saved my bacon. There's no doubt about it. They absolutely saved the day. We had, unfortunately, our original tournament organizer had to step away for some family reasons, and I don't know enough about Heroscape to effectively run an event like this. But thankfully, Tommy Adams and Andrew, I just don't realize that I don't know your last name. I know you by Master Roshi, which is kind of how all that plays together. So let's get these guys on. Hey, and they came up at all the same time. Look at that. Welcome to the Board Game Nation live stream. We appreciate you guys taking the time to be here. Tell us what you thought about Battlefront Dayton.
I had fun with it. It was a good time. Basically, anything and any event having to do with Heroscape is always fun. It kind of draws friendly people who aren't
Andrew,
competitive.
your audio is a little bit low. I don't know if you can turn that up for me. I've got you cranked up all the way that I can hear, but you're a little bit quiet. I don't know if your micro. We did tests before and you sounded fine, but I don't know if something has changed.
What about, is this a little better if I'm a little closer?
Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah, go ahead.
But yeah, I mean, the people in the Heroscape community are always just fun to be around. So even outside of playing the game itself, just being at an event is always good, and seeing people I'm familiar with. Like I've known Tommy for a while now, so going to see familiar faces is fun.
Yeah, and yeah, we had a good turnout as well. We had 20 people for the event. Feels like about half of them signed up last minute, but I'm not surprised at that either.
If I could give a note to my friends in the Heroscape community, sign up early, my friends. Like we sat with a very low number of people that pre-registered, and I had laid out a lot of square footage for it, and we'd put a lot of work into it. And with as many people as we had, like there was a question as to whether or not we were going to move forward with the event. And then people like within the last 5 or 6 days ended up, filling it up. So if this is an event that you guys want to support, when the tickets go on sale next time, make sure that you are registering and getting your badges and getting your tickets in advance so that we know how to plan for it, right? Like we didn't know how many maps to build. We didn't know how many people we were going to need and how much table space we were going to need. And so
Yeah, I'm hoping next
I was
time.
thrilled that everybody came. Absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely thrilled that everybody finally came. But it was if we could do this again in the future, please register in advance. It's just
Yeah,
makes everything
I
so
got
much
some
easier for everybody.
ideas for next time. for that to have more like events and stuff. But like just trying to work with the transition from Father Julian running it to me and such. So
Yeah,
hopefully get
and
a more change the events up and stuff for next time and stuff. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
I would say now that there has already been, an initial Heroscape showing at, Battlefront Dayton, going into a second year, it will probably be easier drawing more people in because it's just going to be in people's minds to look forward to it in advance. Because I know with ScapeCon, each year more people go because more people in the community know what it is and have maybe know someone who's gone and are maybe thinking in their head. So there'll probably be more people looking ahead the first
yeah,
yeah.
year.
I
we
hope so.
had.
I mean, go ahead, Tommy.
Oh yeah, I was saying like this year for ScapeCon, or well, I should say next year, we're already at 128 people for that event. It's already passed into the wait list, so we could get the people there for that. And I just want to give a shout out to Roshi as well for stepping up and helping me too. I could only attend on Saturday because it's harvest season on the farm right now. So I could run the event that day, but I needed someone else to run the Friday and Sunday events, and Roshi was great with that, especially for setting up and tearing down the maps too. And
Right.
whatever else he had to handle when I was not there. So I greatly appreciate his help and everyone
Yeah, yeah.
else who helped him there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Roshi showed up on Thursday and started putting maps together, and then helped teach a few other people how to put the maps together, so they were able to help. It was funny. My wife Jamie jumped in on the map building on Thursday night, and she sat at it for like an hour, hour and a half. And because the like to put the Heroscape maps together, it takes a little bit of time, right? And um, so, but when it was over, when she kind of walked away from it, her basic response was like, I don't know that I'm interested in the game. I just really like putting the maps together. Like she thought it was like a jigsaw puzzle, right? It was just like it was this thing that kind of she because it comes with a diagram and you're kind of making to pulling the pieces together to make this kind of you know pretty map, right? So she really enjoyed that part of it. So if you need somebody to put maps together in the Memphis area, I think my wife's looking for a new hobby. That might be it.
Yeah,
But all right, cool. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, putting the maps together, it's intricate enough to kind of keep your interest, but it's complicated or anything like that.
Yeah, she enjoyed it, so I think that's great. Yeah, she loves it. All right, awesome. Well, gentlemen, any final thoughts for Battlefront Dayton? Anything you want to tell the people?
Uh, I just have some ideas for next year. Like this is for example, Dayton is an event that is history based and stuff, and there's history units. I mean, in Heroscape, so maybe one of the formats could favor that for next year. But we'd have to look into that next year. It's a little bit too early to start thinking about that
Well, I will
because,
tell you
like,
that as we were looking at the Battlefront, so one of the things that we did for Heroscape that was unique is we built a new format that is the Battlefront format, right? And I'm
Right.
hoping that other events will pick this format up and continue to call it Battlefront because I'm a marketing hog, but that's which is fine. Um, but everybody seemed to have a really good time at it, which was good. And one of the things that I had thought about from a design point of view was to design it as or after like a famous World War II battle, right? Like design the Battle of the Bulge in Heroscape, and then have the battle, like then have people introduce whatever units they wanted, but the map is that historical location, right? Or maybe an island in Guadalcanal or something like that, right? Um, I think that would be. I think that might be a good way to tie into what you were talking about, and it helps
Right.
because they just Renegade just put out a bunch of they did a Heroscape GI Joe crossover, so there's a bunch of new like soldier units that
Yeah.
might be able to, do something like that. I don't know. I think that'd be kind of cool.
I think that designing a map to kind of like represent maybe a specific theme or event or something could be done. If I had enough advanced time to kind of think about how that would lay out, then I think that that could be a conflict in
Yeah.
terms of just pre-planning how it would all be constructed.
Yeah, for the record, I think what you built was beautiful. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous, and it was better. It was better. What you built was better than what I had in my head, right? Like
Okay.
I thought it looked great, and it served the rules that we had kind of talked about very well. What I thought was interesting is that on Friday there was a map, and then some of it had to be torn apart because we needed some of the terrain for for the competition maps on Saturday, and so on Friday or on Saturday night there was an entirely different Battlefront map that had been formed, and I mean I think some of the basic structure was still there, but it was still a very different play surface,
Right.
which I thought that was great. To me, I love the constant changing nature of that. I thought it was very, very cool.
Right. Right.
All right. Well, gentlemen, I think lastly, let me say again, thank you so much for taking the lead on that event. I was in deep trouble had you guys not stepped up and helped us pull that off. And we
Yeah, I
are,
had a feeling
yes,
from
yes,
your messages and stuff. We got it worked out in the end. So
yes. Yeah, you guys did great, and I'm so grateful for the 20 people who came and experienced the space and got an idea for the kind of events that we want to run, and hopefully we're able to, as Tommy said, entice those people back and have them bring friends for next time. We're still negotiating with locations and dates and so forth. So, but as soon as we have that, we'll be able to announce that to everybody and get that on the calendars for people as quickly as we can. So awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much. You were absolutely fantastic. We appreciate you taking the time today, and we will talk again real soon.
Yeah.
I also want to give a shout out to Renegade for sending the terrain as well. I didn't have
Oh,
to
Yes.
bring mine to this event, so that helped working out with what they sent us. So
Yeah.
exactly, because a lot was needed to kind of pull this off. So Renegade helping out with that was a big deal.
Yeah. Yes, of course. A big thank you to our friends at Renegade for sending not only all of the Heroscape terrain and prize packs and all that stuff, but they also sent every copy of Axis and Allies that was used at the event was provided by Renegade. So I had a pallet of just Heroscape stuff show up at my door. And then I had probably 5 or 6, oh, no, more than that, probably 10 boxes, like boxes of games, of Axis and Allies games and other games show up at my door over the course of, I don't know, like a month. So it was a Herculean effort on their part, and obviously it's an investment for them on, you know, they want us to keep running events, right? So like now we have all this Heroscape stuff. They want us to, of course, run another event. Same thing with all of the Axis and Allies equipment, and also to make that available to other tournament organizers that might need help in the Midwest. They're in California, so if there's a Heroscape event in the Midwest that needs additional terrain, well, we have it, and contact me and we'll try to figure out how to get it to you. If it means somebody coming to pick it up or figuring out how to ship it or whatever, we can certainly do that. And when it comes to Axis and Allies events, same thing. If there's going to be an event in Nashville or Spring Gathering or Gen Con, like I have now, as people that were at Battlefront Dayton saw, lots of lots of games of Axis and Allies and Heroscape equipment. So feel free to reach out. So awesome. Yes, that's a great call, Tommy. Thank you for mentioning that. Renegade absolutely went above and beyond. So we certainly appreciate their support for the event. But all right, gentlemen. Well, I appreciate the time, and we will see you again real soon.
yep, thanks for
All right.
having us.
You bet. Have a great night. All right. All right, here we go. So, hey, I wonder, you know what? I wonder if the 2023 world champion for Axis and Allies might be around. You think? I wonder if he's here. Let me see if is he here? Oh, I don't. There he is. It's Doug Thorpe, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, Doug, what's up?
You're a dork, Gary.
Doug gets the glockenspiel. Doug Thorpe rolls in, 2023 World Champion. He gets the glockenspiel. Welcome to the show, brother. Good to see you.
It's good to see you too, man. You'll have to excuse me. Still getting over a little bit of a cold. If I'm coughing a little bit or clearing my throat, I'll try to mute myself as much as possible when I have to do that.
Yeah, so you're the one who brought the cold to Battlefront Dayton this year. I have to tell you, I am I am grateful that I did not get that particular bug. Larry Harris did. Larry Harris went home with a bit of a cold,
It wasn't for me.
which was a bummer. We feel bad about that.
Yeah, that stinks.
So, yes. So tell me about your experience at Battlefront Dayton.
Battlefront Dayton was a lot of fun. I'm actually originally from Dayton, so it was really cool to go back there for that reason. The event was a lot of fun. The only thing I regret was being in the anniversary tournament, as I didn't get to experience all the games that I wanted to. I got to play some Heroscape with my boys. That was a lot of fun. Got to also do one of the diplomacy demos on the big rollout board that you can walk on the ground with the giant ships and tanks and stuff like that, fleets and armies. It was a lot of fun. Help work with my boys on that also. So I really wanted to play test some other games that I didn't get to, Imperial Borders and some other things. But it was a lot of fun. I thought it was a very well organized event. I've told people, Gary, for the first event like this, I thought you did a very good job organizing it. I thought it was run very, very well. Things seemed to go very smooth from my perspective anyway, and it was tons of fun.
I thought it was a good time too. Thank you for covering there. I needed to fix something. Well done. I appreciate the compliment there. It was, I mean, you know, it was about 9 months worth of work. It was very much like birthing a baby, and we learned a great deal. I will say the biggest thing that we took away from it, at least so far, was what you said is absolutely true. Like, it seems like, and we're looking at the survey feedback now, and everybody was, you know, going on about how organized it was and how smooth everything ran, and that's great, right? That's great. And what the trouble that I had was that the amount of effort needed to pull that off was not well dispersed, right? So it was a lot of weight on me, and so like I was running around like a crazy person the whole time. It was a lot of weight on Jamie. Like she didn't really get to leave the desk, right? She was there the whole time. There was a lot of weight on Tracy and Brian during setup and teardown. So the idea, like the big takeaway is that, and let me be really clear, there was lots and lots of volunteer energy, right? Lots of people saying, hey man, how can I help? And that's great. And that's fantastic. But the trouble that I had was that I did not organize that volunteer energy as well as I should have, right? And so by the time it was over, like everybody that was like working that event was just wiped out. Like we were just completely exhausted. And it didn't have to be that way, right? Because there were, you know, and of course there were people that jumped in, right, and helped. And Adam and Brian Smith, the Game Smiths, they stuck around on Monday morning and helped us load into the van, and that was great. And you know, there were lots of other. I don't even want to start to mention it because everybody, like, there were so many people that were there that were just phenomenally helpful. But one person I do absolutely have to shout out is Aaron Jones from Board Game Hackers. If you have not followed his channel, please do so. He was a huge help on Friday. He's Canadian. He has a YouTube channel that is Board Game Hackers, which is a lot of fun. He does a lot of kind of war game related stuff. It's some of it's offbeat, so it's not, but it's a lot of it is kind of dramatic, which I think is fun. It's very different than my channel, but it's still just a lot of fun, and it's still in this space, right? But anyway, so he flew in from Canada, to help and to attend for a day on his way to his honeymoon in St. Martin's. So he delayed his honeymoon for a day so that he could stop and hang out with us for a day.
Wow.
And he helped get the live stream set up and got all of the help us get the cameras in place, and was just an absolute champ. And took a ton of pictures and video, which I didn't really have time to do, and he was all over it, and it was just phenomenal. So a big shout out to Aaron Jones. And again, Board Game Hackers on YouTube. Give him a subscribe.
Yeah,
it was some friends.
It was also really good.
Robert Newman is here. Good to see you, brother. And Preston, which is great. And Preston, man, I'll tell you, Preston was kind of the surprise of the show, if I'm being honest. Like, Preston, I think he's 14. Him and his dad played in their first tournament and surprised some people. Beat some really talented players to kind of surprise the crowd. So, congrats on a really great event to them for sure. So I love seeing that kind of stuff. Like, that's my favorite thing. Like, tournaments, I love seeing the guy like come out of the basement that no one's ever seen before, and just have him like jump up and slap somebody. Like, I just or to play a strategy that no one has even considered. Like, that's my favorite thing.
My and Carl's second round game was against a dude who'd never played in a tournament before, and holy cow, he gave us a heck of a game. Now, we went 7 rounds in that game. I don't remember, maybe late round 5, made a couple of mistakes, but for the first 4.5, 5 rounds or whatever it was, man, he played a solid game, and we were able to capitalize at the end. But man, until then, I was just like, holy cow, this guy is like,
Steve Meridian is who you're talking about. And he played solo, and he comes in third.
It's impressive.
In this field, right? Like, this is a tough field. Like, there's a lot of really, really good players in this field. And he plays solo. First tournament, comes in third. Like, that's a huge win as far as I'm concerned. Like, that was awesome. So congrats to him. Okay, so to that end, I'm going to flip back to just me on the screen, but I think we're still going to be able to hear you if you want to jump in and say something. I'm going to go back to me being on the left and go through our contestants and our winners here. So that was Heroscape. 42nd edition, we had all these fine folks competed in that event, but our winners, the folks who took home the trophy, was not them. It was not them. It was probably them. There we go. It is them for sure. And that is Aces High. I love the names that so many of the teams came up with. I thought it was fantastic. Silver Strategists came in second, and Aces High came in first. In the 1942 second edition tournament, sponsored by our friends at combatminiatures.org. Make sure that you are checking them out. And when you do that, by the way, our promo code is still good, BGN10. That gets you 10% off your entire purchase. So
that's great.
When you go to combatminiatures.org and you decide to buy something, make sure that you're putting in BGN10 at the end when you purchase, and you get 10% off.
Yeah, people definitely have better team names than Carl and I.
Yeah, well, we will shame you properly in a moment, sir. Don't worry. All right. Nope, that's not it. Where do we go? Here we go. Anniversary edition. So all of these fine folks, a lot of friends on this list, a lot of new friends on this list, were made the trip to the Hope Hotel in Dayton to join us for the Anniversary Edition World Championship Qualifier, sponsored by, again, our friends at Historical Board Gaming. And link in the description. This is actually our affiliate link. There isn't a discount for this one, but if you purchase from using this link, we do get a little bit of a kickback from our friend, from Doug Friend at Historical Board Gaming. So again, these are everybody that played. Everybody, this was a great event. I think it was 28 people played in this. Everybody from Dave Jensen came from California. We had a couple of Canadians on this list, a couple from Florida. Georgia was here. New York was here. New Hampshire. Man, they came from all over for this event, which I was just incredibly pleased about. So thank you to all of those folks. But we could only have one winner, and that one was that shiny, shiny dome right there. My good friend Doug Thorpe and his ad hoc partner, because obviously I couldn't play in this event, but his partner was Carl Vandergelden, and together they took home the B-25s. Is that what you guys got? I'm pretty sure that's what you got, the B-25s.
Yes.
And that the guy on Doug's left there is that's Larry Harris, by the way, who stood in the pictures for all of the trophies, which was very nice. Second place was Barry Dano, and he got paired up last minute with Joey Troiano, and that was his first tournament experience. And he brought his son Dominic. And by the way, they won a prize. I emailed and they haven't reached out. So if you happen to know those folks, please have them reach out to me. But we're going to talk more about this matchup at the end, Doug. So we'll talk more. We'll come back to potential future content about that in just a minute. But yeah. So
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just got to give Carl a shout out. I mean, Carl is a total beast at this game. I'm the first time I went to Gen Con, he whooped me in the final of 42 second edition. And man, he played Europe primarily. I was in the Pacific mostly in our games, and man, he just not a crack. That dude is just amazing. He didn't let anybody get him down, and he came up with all sorts of crazy ideas. So it was great.
Yeah, Carl, I believe he's third or fourth in number one, like in the list of Gen Con trophies that Greg Smorey keeps. So yeah, he picked up a good partner. Not he was a good stand-in. I'll say it that
Yeah,
way.
you better watch it, dude. You got some competition.
I'm telling you.
Maybe hitting up Steve if he doesn't have anybody.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, Steve Meridian with a strong partner. Watch out, kids. He's gonna be pretty serious about it. Yeah. Here's a quick comment from Tom. Like, how nice was it to have Larry Harris at the convention? Right?
Yeah.
Like, he was just incredibly kind to everybody and talked to everybody and talked about game design and game history, and he was just fantastic. Yes, Jamie's absolutely. Larry Harris is a national treasure. Tell your friends. Larry Harris, Dolly Parton, national treasures. I will not accept any arguments. So
yeah. That was the one thing I didn't mention at the beginning. Just some of the people. I've never met Larry Harris before. Getting the opportunity to meet him was great. Shake his hand, talked with him, asked me some questions and stuff like that. And I just didn't even get a chance to, with like I was saying earlier, just being in the tournament. Like, I barely saw Matt Hyra. I shook his hand, said hi to him for like 5 seconds. I never met Rosco. Like, it was just busy. So I was really thankful for the opportunity to at least have a few minutes with Larry Harris. That was really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, Desert Fox. Yes, we did use the commander cards, but we'll come back to that in a minute. It went a little differently than I thought it was going to, but it did go. So we'll talk about that in just a second. That's a good call. Remind me to come back to that.
I feel like Robin throwing some shade at you in the comments.
Yeah, I'm trying to ignore it. Carl's never lost to Alex Thorpe. That's true. Yeah, it was great. All right, so then we had global. What do we do in global? Who played in global? Let's find out. I believe it was these people. These people played in the global event. We had a full slate for global and anniversary. Both of those events were sold out. This was the 42 Global 42 World Championship qualifier, sponsored by our friends, the Board Game Nation Generals of Minnesota. And they were sponsors of not only this event, but they also had several great things in the gift bag. They had that little notepad, and they had some stickers in there, which was great. So we really appreciate all of their support throughout the entire evolution of that event. So thank you very much to them. And we had a bunch of
Mike Davis.
Yeah, by the way, this tripped me up. I'm not gonna lie. So Gen Con tournament goers will know that Greg Smorey's number 2 at at Gen Con for years now has been Mike Davis. And when I saw a badge show up, and of course I invited Mike Davis to come, but when I saw somebody buy a badge that their name was Mike Davis, I thought, sweet, Mike Davis is coming. That's fantastic. And then I'm standing there checking everybody in, and the guy says, hi, I'm Mike Davis. And it's like, not only was it not Mike Davis, but it was like someone who could not look more different than Mike Davis. So it was like Mike Davis is a little taller, glasses, full head of hair. The guy standing in front of me is shorter, brown skin, bald, vest, like could not have looked more different, right? It was just a completely different guy. And it took me a minute. I'm looking at him like, you're not Mike Davis. It was like, oh, I really am Mike Davis. Like, what are you? So it's like, yeah. But unfortunately, Mike had some work obligations and wasn't able to join us for the weekend. But this Mike Davis was a very nice human being and had a great time at the event. After he got over my weird reaction to him, which is, that's fine. So who won this thing? I don't know who won this thing. I believe it might have been the Utah boys might have taken this one home. Chad Condi and Jed Albiston took home the B-29s. Yes, I believe that's what we had, were the B-29s. And the Board Game Nation Generals of Minnesota came in second at this particular event. And of course, that is Brian Hyde, Robert Beckel. I believe that was his first tournament, and he got picked up as a third with Brian and Robin Bielefeld, who came in second in that event. Both teams played very, very well. They both had really high scores going into that final round, so it was a very, very close match in that final match. That game, or at least the last 6 hours of it, 5 hours of it, is available on our channel because we live streamed that game, as well as the final match on Sunday between Carl and Doug versus Steve Green and Harry Warman. And that was a heck of a game. So if you're interested in seeing really high level gameplay in real time, that is certainly available for you to go check that out. So the thumbnails, they're basically day 2 coverage, day 3 finals coverage. So if you're looking at the thumbnails, you'll be able to find it that way. But congratulations to all of our tournament competitors and winners. It was I thought it was a very successful event in terms of how it all ran. Jamie, I will tell you again, I won the wife lottery, my friends. I'm sorry. I'm sure you all have lovely wives. Mine is fantastic. I couldn't ask for anything more. She built these incredible spreadsheets that not only managed Swiss pairing, but also the crazy scoring system that we came up with to do pairings in this game, right? So all she's got to do is put in the team name, and then how many points were awarded to each team. And it will immediately calculate whether or not that was a win or a loss, and how many points against this team and that team in the next, that need to go into the next round. So the only thing that it did not do was, and we ran into this on Saturday, Doug, I don't know if you saw this or not, but we did not account for the idea that it might pair teams that had just played in round 1. Right. So we had a couple of instances I think we had it in global and we had it in the anniversary tournament where they both, it was a 10 and 11, right? Which is the middle scores. And so they had been paired up against each other because they happen to have the closest scores, which is the whole point, right, of a Swiss pairing, right? So we had to make some last minute, okay, no, you're going here. But other than that, we were able to get the pairings out the night before. We were able to email them to everybody so that they could see who they were playing the next day, what table they were playing on, and what time their event was going to start.
Getting the scouting reports from other opponents and everything.
Right. Yeah, that's great.
Who are these guys? I don't even know who they are.
Right. Well, and that was, that was part of it too. It's there was a lot of people there that were first-time tournament goers, right?
That was
Which I
great.
thought was absolutely fantastic.
Hmm.
And so if this was your first time going to a tournament, let us know in the comments and what your general thoughts and experiences were. Robert Newman, it's all your fault. Yes, I'm looking at you. Robert Newman is the one who found the Hope Hotel for us and steered us in that direction. So he was the it's his fault. I'm just gonna he started the ball down the hill. So, and here I am wearing a shirt that's all about it. So.
Yeah. It says it on there. Yeah.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was good. The commander cards. So let's talk about how the commander cards work. So unfortunately, let me just back up and say the plan was because it's Swiss pairing, the bummer is that you're going to get to day 3 or to get to round 3 and someone's going to be 0-2 going into that last round, knowing that they're not going to win like a trophy or whatever. So the idea was that we wanted to offer to let them play with the commander cards, right? And this was the only set that I believe the only set that exists in the world. And somehow, like a dummy, I did not get Matt and Larry to sign this while I was there.
Fail.
I guess we'll have to do it again. So that was the plan. And so we're going into Sunday morning, and I go over to the 42nd edition guys, and unfortunately, the teams that were supposed to play in the 0-2 match, they all left. They didn't stay for Sunday, so they all drove home. And there was some weather that came in late on Sunday, so there was a lot of people that were like, I need to get back to Michigan before the 1.5 feet of snow fell, that none of which was forecast, by the way. 1.5 feet fell in Wisconsin, and it was a lot on Sunday night. So I completely understand why some people left, but then I offered it to the anniversary players, and they accepted it. And basically what we did is we randomly selected which generals and what side, basic or expert, that they would be using for each power. So we assigned all the powers, their commanders first, and then said, take 10, 15 minutes, look over them, so you get familiar with what they do and how they work and ask any questions, right? And get everybody on the same page. And then bid with the new board state, right? This is the condition that you're going to be playing under. So bid accordingly, right? And Paul, my house got 13 inches, 50 miles south of Chicago. And my parents were in Kenosha. They got almost 20 inches of snow. But then it was 60 degrees like a week later, and it was all gone. So whatever. Anyway, so that was the plan. And that's what we did for our anniversary. And they were off doing their thing. Now, what happened in the anniversary games, the first game that they went into, I don't remember which commanders they got, but it was pretty balanced, right? And they bid. I think the bid went to the Axis a little bit, but not huge. And then they played what was a fairly normal game. The other game got Rommel. And
what's his power? I don't remember what he does.
Rommel's power was he had could continue to blitz.
Oh my gosh.
Right? So he had the ability to go into a space, and then if the tanks still had the ability to blitz, then they could continue on, right? And attack in the next space and create a new round of combat. Right? It was a lot, right? It's a really, really powerful ability, particularly if you have, any kind of idea of really how to maximize that, right? And I mean, if the German tank spam was an effective strategy in Anniversary before, now give that player the Rommel ability, and if they ever buy anything but a tank, they're doing it wrong, right? So, and I don't think that the guys who ended. I think we lost Doug for a minute there. We'll see if he dials back in. But I don't think that the guys that ended up playing the Allies really understood the power of that that ability. And so, welcome back, sir.
I don't know what happened.
I don't know, technology. But what I was saying is that I don't think that the guys who ended up playing the allies really had a good understanding of how powerful that ability was going to be, and so they didn't bid. I don't think they bid correctly, and Germany just dominated that game. I walked over at like 4 hours, 5 hours. Germany had Moscow and Calcutta.
Oh my gosh.
And so that was a lot. But when I went over to the global guys, they said something that I did not expect, but in reality makes perfect sense. Right. So I walked over to them and I said, okay, guys, this game is 0-2. Do you guys, I've got the commander cards. Do you guys want to use them in your game? And one of the guys that was in the 0-2 match, he looks at me and he says, I don't think we're handling the complexity of the game as it is all that well because we're obviously 0-2. Right? So do we really need more complexity in this game? I don't think so. So they opted not to use them in the global 0-2 match.
I can respect that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So yeah, and unfortunately, there were a couple of casual games that happened, 42nd and anniversary and so forth. But as far as I know, the commander cards didn't go out for those casual games. I think though that they might have been used in one of the Stalingrad casual games. Because I think Matt came and got them and asked for, because he was running, Matt Hyra was running those games. And I think that he was looking to test them in the new game. So I think that might have happened. I'm not 100% sure, but I seem to remember somebody saying to me that happened.
Got it.
Yeah. I think Coffee was in that, Paul. I think you're right. I think that was Coffee was in one of the 0-2 games, but yeah, it was. But it definitely, that does sound like something he would say. That's true. But no, I thought that was. I think the guys that played it seemed to have a good time with them in the matches, but it made sense to me why the global guys didn't want to do it. I guess that.
Yeah.
So, but no, I thought that was good. Okay, so any other thoughts about the tournaments? Oh, I got a request, and then we'll start with Doug. I got a request for all of my tournament winners, right, that have these beautiful wooden model planes at home. I got those from premiumwoodart.com, right? And if you go there and use BGN10, again, is the promo code, you get 10% off if you decide to buy one of these for yourself. I completely recommend it. Han is the guy's name, and he makes these things by hand. He's in Vietnam. He makes them by hand. And like the price that he sells these for, I think don't tell him I said this, is probably too low. But because they're absolutely beautiful. And if you like the ones that you saw, make sure that you head over to that website and look at the dozens of other like exceptionally cool things that he has on the website. But here's what I would like to do, because I love a good small business person who's absolutely like dedicated to their craft and out there doing their thing. So here's what I want to do. I would like all of the winners to take a picture of their trophy wherever it landed. Right. So if it's on your mantle, or if it's on your bookshelf, or it's on your trophy shelf like Doug has, please take a picture of it. If you want to take a picture with it, that's cool too. And then go to the Battlefront Dayton Facebook group, which I will link now into the chat. Let me put that over there real quick, and you can drop it in there, and we will get all those together and send those to Han so that he can have them for his social media, right? Because he's trying to break more into the U.S. market, and he sold these to us at a discount so that we would, promote his company. And so this was, one of the ways that we can help do that is to have folks taking pictures of the product and being happy with it, and then right, and then being able to use those for his social media for future purposes. So
I'll show you where mine is right now. It didn't really land. It's flying up there.
well, there you go.
Put it on top. I haven't made a actual space for it, so I set it on top of another trophy that I have.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, it's a I knew
is.
that it was going to be big when I picked it out. I will say that it was not. It was bigger when I had it in my hands than when I saw it on the screen. I thought, oh, that'd be really cool. And then I like put them together in the studio so that I could like see what they look like. And like, yeah, I mean, they're 14 inches wide. And
I know it won't fit in one of these cubicles up here, whatever those.
Right. Yeah. It won't fit in a calyx.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's pretty big. So if you're, still, please, trophies on trophies on trophies. That's right.
That wasn't my intention.
Right.
Just trying to
stack them up.
display it.
Right. No, that's awesome. So, but yeah, so if you can, please take a moment and take pictures of the of your games and drop them in that group right there, and we will make sure that Han gets those, and make sure that you're checking out the website and buying cool stuff. Christmas is right around the corner. Now's a great time to pick those things out if you want to buy them for some of the other folks in your life. Those are solid gifts. Very cool. Oh, and the second place, that's my wife right there. Yes, size matters. Yes, big trophies, my friends, big trophies for big players. That's right. But our second place trophies came from aviationgifts.com. They were fighter jets. They were die-cast metal fighter jets. And so they were, those were our second place trophies. So those were also pretty cool. Yeah, go ahead, Desert Fox. What's your question about the commander card revision? Hit us with that. I don't know that there have been any revisions yet, but because it's not been published yet, but we'll see. Yeah, there you go, Brian. Tell us you're the champ without telling us you're the champ.
Gary already he asked people to show their trophies.
Right, exactly right. Sure, yeah, that's fine. All right, so now let me see if I can find my time study survey, my summary rather. Yeah, the P-51, I really did like that one. That was a good one. Okay, so what I'm going to drop now in the chat is the time study summary that I wrote. So quick review, starting at the Spring Gathering and through Gen Con and through Battlefront Dayton, the Board Game Nation team and I have been doing our best to collect information about the games that have been played in tournaments. So games that are played. Keep the spoilers out of the comments, please. We're still talking about we're going to have the World Championship Series coming up in a couple of months. So we'll talk more about that when we get to that point in the story. So keep that to yourselves, my friends. So what was I saying? What was I talking about?
You're talking about the time study.
Yes, thank you. So key things that we were looking to collect. The first was, what was the average bid? Just because that's an interesting thing to know, right? What was the average bid? How much total time was used between both players? We put chess clocks on every table and asked players to do their best to try to use them accurately. So when it's my turn, the clock is running on me. When it's my opponent's turn, the clock is running on them, so that we can figure out how much time each side is averaging over the course of a large pool of games that we have collected data on, right? So, and then of course we needed to know who won those games, right? Did they win or lose, or what was the final outcome of that game, right? So those were the key metrics that we were after. So here's we're just gonna, you can look at this if you want to via the link. I'm going to read some of this now so that we can talk about this. Let me grab a couple of these questions real quick. I have not announced any dates for future tournaments. The only tournament that I know that's on a calendar right now is Kings and Kaisers in Chicago is having a tournament in January. I don't know the exact dates for that, but it's in Chicago. It's at a Holiday Inn in Chicago somewhere. It's a Kings and Kaisers, a World War I global game. And we had hoped to have them at Battlefront Dayton, but unfortunately they were not able to participate. So we hope to get them back in the future. But I also know that Robert Prather, our dear friend, the chaplain, has a BBR event in Atlanta, or no, I'm sorry, in St. Louis, rather. That is in, I believe that's in March. You can find more information about that in the forums. But Greg has not set dates for the spring gathering as of yet, I don't believe. Doug, do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Not that I'm aware of. And then, of course, Gen Con's dates have been published, so we'll definitely have that but we do not have dates, nor have we confirmed that a Battlefront Dayton 2026 will happen. We're still talking to the hotel. We're still talking with the CVB and some other interesting options are out there. One of the reasons that we picked the name Battlefront Dayton is that we could also do Battlefront Sacramento. We could do Battlefront Milwaukee. We could do Battlefront Louisville. We could do we could do Battlefront Miami, Brussels, Brisbane, right? Like I think all of those things would be exceptionally cool and very cool possibilities. So we would have to obviously explore what that looks like. But as we're looking at the surveys, we asked, one of the big questions was, if this event was held again in the same location on roughly the same dates in 2026, how likely would you be to return? The score that we got back is 9.5. And when we asked, if it was same date, same location, would you recommend it to a friend? The score is 9.7, right? So, and we had, like we said, we had a great response from our friends in the Heroscape community. Lots of people were really pleased with the Axis and Allies action. So, I think that something is likely. It's just a matter of figuring out what that is going to be and trying to figure out how to manage that workload at the same time. So, but yes, so that's where we are right now with future events, Robert. And if you come up with another stellar location like the Hope Hotel was for us, feel free to let me know, and you can host an event there. No, and we'll be happy to help you and send equipment and so forth. So, but that's where we are right now. Desert Fox, you're asking if they will be revised due to feedback. I mean, I'm sure Renegade is always excited to get feedback when it comes to new products, but I don't know. At this point, they're in production, right? So I don't know that they would be able to change anything at this point based on player feedback. If there was a second edition of these cards, then certainly they would almost, they would respond to feedback. But I'd love to know kind of what your thoughts were in terms of what changes you're interested in. So let us know about that. But okay, so the objective of the time study, as I said, was to figure out like what the average time is that's being used by each side in each game, so that we can start to figure out ways to manage time in tournament play. One of the struggles in the current tournament structure is that one of the strategies is to stall, right? Like I can see that yeah, that's a great call, Tommy. Tom Havertz mentioned the Renegade Discord is a great place for for feedback. So make sure to check that out. So, but one of the things that we really wanted to make sure that we were able to get is an average time that was used, so that we could figure out if there's a massive deviation from that time, that average that we've established as a community through the study of lots and lots of games, lots and lots of reps of the same game in this same format. Then we can start to figure out how do we engage with that, right? So are we okay with, in a 6-hour game, which is what Anniversary is, are we okay with a 10-minute deviation between the Axis and the Allies? I think that we probably are, right? I don't have a problem with that. Are we okay with a 20-minute spread? Okay, right? Sure. 30 minutes? 40 minutes? An hour? Right? Like, and then trying to figure out how to manage that, and how do we enforce these averages, right? How do we keep people to playing at, what is close to the average speed? So that was the objective.
Are you going to put these numbers on the screen here, or are you just are you going to share them or anything? Or you just talking in general? I know you shared the spreadsheet, but I'm just curious. I don't know what
I don't have a good way to put them on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious.
Let me think about that for a second.
So two just quick thoughts, and I'm sure there'll be future discussions about this, but one, the more I've used a clock at the side of a game, the more accurate that clock has become. I remember the first time we used them was at the Spring Gathering, and then the second time was at Gen Con. And I know at least in one game during Gen Con, like, we had opposite people like on each other's team's clock, because like we would forget to press the button or they would forget to press the button. So one time, I think we were the Axis. We were like on their clock during the entire UK turn. And we didn't realize it till it was Italy, and we put them on the clock for Italy to make up, but Italy goes so quickly, it only made up like 5 of those minutes or something like that. But like, I think Battlefront Dayton, like, I don't know that happened for like a minute in any of the games. Like, we were very on top of the clock. And so I think the more people use it, the more those numbers will be accurate. I also think the simple presence of a clock and knowing how much time I've used versus my opponent causes people to try to balance those times a little bit more. Can you still hear me?
Yep, there you are. Sorry.
So if you don't know,
I'm trying to type at the same time, and then
you're good.
It when I try to like command something, like, it does strange things to the screen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't know you've used 30, 45 minutes more than the other guy, you're just going to keep doing your thing. But when there's a clock right there staring everybody in the face, telling them that you've used a lot more time or a lot less time or something, I think there's a tendency for that to just, by the nature of people, try to balance there and move quicker and that type of thing. Just be more aware of it. So I think the addition of the clocks has been a good thing overall. And I think the more they're used, the more people get used to them, and the more accurate the information and telling it will be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I agree with everything that you just said there. I think what's interesting is that I think so I gave a big speech at the beginning of the Battlefront Dayton experience, right? And one of the things that I said was to clarify how and when you can make corrections, right? So like, if I'm making my purchase and then I move and then I start making combat moves, right? Can I still change my purchase? And my position on that was yes, until you roll a die. Yeah. Once you've rolled a die, it locks in everything that came before that, right? And then when you're done rolling dice, you go to your non-combat move, right? And then you go to mobilization. So now I'm in mobilization. Can I change my non-combat move? Yes. Yes, you can. Until you press the clock. When you press the clock, that locks in everything that came before that. So your non-combat move, your mobilization, all that's locked in when you press the clock, which made it a thing in the game, right? It was a definitive moment that they had to think about every turn. Like, it's okay. So is all my non-combat, all my mobilizations, everything's where I want it? Yes. Click. Yeah. Right. And that, I think, putting that in their heads made it so that they were much more likely to use it. Yeah. So I think that was helpful. Okay. So I did manage to get the 42nd edition results on the screen here. Okay. We had 25 games reporting. Let's just run through these real quick. The Allies won 16 of 25. The Axis won 9 of 25. Okay. We're going to double back to that in just a second. The average bid was the Axis plus 1.3.
That information is very surprising to me. Now, I mean, I've seen it. I think you showed it to me yesterday or something.
Yeah.
But when I saw it, that was very, very surprising information.
Yeah. And if you'll remember when we did the 2023 World Championship videos, like the average bid was Allies plus 6.
Oh, 6, yeah.
Right.
Like that's
every now and again it would drop to 5. Once or
Yeah.
twice it would go to 7, but for the most part it was 6. Right. Like that was almost entirely where they ended up every time that we played. So it's interesting to see that since 2023, not only has it dropped from the Allies, but it's actually moved up to the side of the Axis, which I think is interesting. And even with that plus, the Allies are still winning 3-2. Right. So I think that's really interesting. So the total average time used was only 4 hours and 2 minutes. Okay. Now that means that a lot of these games were ending early.
Yeah.
A lot of these games were ending in resignation. Okay. So the average time used by the Axis was 2 hours and was dead on 2 hours, and the average time used by the Allies was 2 hours and 12 minutes. Okay. So I think that is a 12-minute spread between those two groups is now. This is only 25 games. Okay.
Yeah, it's not
I
really
would
that
feel more
many.
confident in these numbers if this was 100 games or 200 games, right? So I think we still have to continue to keep going with this particular in this game for sure. The other thing that happened is that a lot of when Greg and that group over there decided that Anniversary was going to be the World Championship instead of 42nd edition, a lot of the stronger players jumped out of the 42nd pool and into the Anniversary pool. So I think a lot of these 25 games are newer players. And I think a lot of them, and I'm grateful, this is going to sound like a humble brag here, but a lot of these people got into these tournaments because they saw our World Championship videos in 2023. So, and a couple of people in the comments are hitting on this. Like people are, you can walk around the 42nd edition area and see people running variations of the Thorpe Thump, right? Like the KJF, Kill Japan First strategies in the 42nd edition world are dominant. So, and apparently they're winning 3-2. So it's interesting to kind of see that play out. Now, my first tournament at Gen Con was 2019, I think. And the general consensus then, obviously because of the bid, was that the Axis was stronger. What was more stronger? That the Axis was stronger, more powerful and stronger work that came together. Anyway, so that the Axis, that the game was slanted to the Axis. And so the Allies had to get a bid of plus 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever. And so I think that our content has created this kind of swing in people playing this strategy, right? And it's obviously an effective strategy. So I have to tell you, like, and Doug and I have kind of been teasing this since 2023. Like, Doug and I know how to beat this strategy. We figured out how to do it as we were developing this strategy, right? So if like somebody played it against us, we would know what to do. So I think we might need to make a how to beat the Thump Thorpe video.
Yeah. My first, 3 to 5 Gen Cons. Yeah, I think you'd be hard pressed to not get 5 or 6 to play the Allies pretty consistently.
Right.
And I feel like the Axis were still winning a lot. And so yeah, this is really, really interesting.
Right. So I mean, and the only mitigating factor here was our content, right? Like the game didn't change, the setup didn't change, like none of that changed. The only
Yeah.
thing that changed was that we put out all this content showing how to win as the Allies using a kill Japan first strategy. So I think we need to. I think if we go out and make another video that is how to beat the Thorpe Thump, I think maybe we start to see the Axis do a little bit better here, and we start to see this kind of even out. I realize that sounds wildly egotistical, and I'm sorry about that. But I think we broke it, and I think we need to fix it. So, it's a matter of giving some
Yeah,
coaching for the Axis on the side here.
yeah, maybe. I mean, also, like, I do think that the 25 game sample size, not to like, now Gen Con is the event, right? Like, so I don't want to downplay that. But I do, I'm still processing the data, I guess is what I'm saying. So,
Oh, so
yeah.
am I. So I just keyed all this in yesterday, and started to kind of spit out the results, right? Like, what does all this mean? And I kicked it around with a couple of people that have been helping with the project since the beginning. But for the most part, like, I'm still kind of digesting it as well and trying to figure out, okay, what does that mean, and how does that, what is that going to do for strategies
I mean,
and bidding and so forth?
our game 2 was a win with the Axis. I mean,
Right.
I've
We played the
played,
Axis in one.
yeah, I've played 42 second edition and had India fall in round 2. Like, definitely round 3. Like, yeah. So I don't know. I think there's something. Yeah, I don't know. Still thinking about it, but yeah. I mean, I don't get me wrong. Yeah, I think seeing a strong allied strategy, because I can remember. I think I shared this in those videos. Like, I've had situations where I've lost Karelia and London, or Karelian and Russia, and I still win with the allied strategy because you can afford to lose 2 VCs. And
Right.
you don't think, like, I had a guy take London once because I was a dummy not paying attention on like round 3 or 4, and I still won in 6 rounds because I got the Japanese VCs and he couldn't crack Moscow. I flew my 15 American bombers and 12 fighters in there to defend Moscow on the last round of the game, and they couldn't take it or something like that. So
Yeah, for sure.
it yeah.
All right, so anniversary. This one we've got a much better sample size. So Tracy has an excellent point here. Let's talk about that real quick. So Tracy, she's you only have a sample size of 25 games compared to 63 games for anniversary. Maybe we need more of a survey size for that one. I think that's absolutely correct.
Yeah.
We need more data there to be able to make a good assessment, I think, of where that game is in terms of balance and so forth. But in anniversary, we do have quite a bit more data. We've got 63 games recorded for anniversary. The standard is 6 hours. The average bid is still going to the Axis, but it's only 1.8 in this game, which is, I think, when it's that close, you're feeling like it's pretty balanced, right? Like, bids here almost come down to preference, like what side do you want to play, versus like a strategic choice, right? So we got 63 games. 12 were at the Spring Gathering, 27 were at Gen Con, 24 were at Battlefront Dayton. The Axis won 29 of 63. The Allies won 34 of 63. That's about a 10-point delta, or 10% delta between those two. And to me, that's within the margin of error, right? Like, with only 63 games, I feel like that's within the margin of error. I don't think that I would make any kind of like.
Yeah, I mean, that's even. You got
Right. That's pretty balanced as far as I'm concerned.
3 of those games could have just been, a guy's first tournament and lost, and it just happened that he had the access or something. Like, I mean,
Right. So total time used 5 hours, 14 minutes, 26 seconds. Again, total round time available is 6 hours. So this again indicates that we're getting a lot of people resigning earlier in the game, not playing through to the end, which is. But the other thing, like, this average is a little tricky because you've got most games will go to 5:30, 5:45, but somebody resigns at 3 hours, and it dramatically reduces this average, right? So it's a little bit this number I'm a little less in love with, statistically in love with, right?
Yeah, you should probably remove some of the outliers just to clean it up or something a little
Right.
bit.
But the total average time used by the Axis 2 hours and 40 minutes, total by the Allies 3 hours and 34 minutes. Again, it's a 6-minute spread in a 6-hour game. That feels pretty even in terms of like,
Yeah, it's
would I
nothing.
want a rule set that gave the Allies more time or less time than the Axis? I don't think so. The bids in this did range from the Allies +5 to the Axis +6. Almost any time, I would have to go back and double check this, but I think that that anytime the bid went to the Allies, they lost. So I think that's, or I'm sorry, anytime the bid went to the Allies, the Axis lost. I'd have to double check that, and if somebody can fact check me in the comments here, feel free to do so. But that is the so that's anniversary. I feel like this is, I don't have any problems with the data that's here in terms of like balance or time used by either side. Like this to me seems, this is as good as the data I think could get in terms of like showing that a game is balanced and that the bid is doing what it's supposed to be doing and that time is doing what it's supposed to be doing. But again, to Doug's point, the clocks at Spring Gathering, like it was a mess. Gen Con was better, but I feel like Battlefront Dayton did a really good job. Like the players there did a really good job of like staying on their clock, right? So I think that our data is getting better because the players are getting more accustomed to having the clocks on the table.
It would be interesting just for the fun of it behind the scenes. You don't need to share the numbers. Just remove the Spring Gathering and just see if it changes. I guess it's only 3 games for 42 seconds, so maybe it won't be that big of a deal. But it'd be interesting with this many games. If you remove the Spring Gathering, do the numbers shift one way or the other, change significantly? Because we made a lot of mistakes because it was new and it was like,
right. I mean, I know that in our games at the Spring Gathering, we made a couple of mistakes, right? And that's, it was a new thing. Everybody's still getting used to it, and and that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's fine. Okay. So again, I think this was fine. I think this was good. I feel good about this data. We're going to continue to collect this, of course, as we, go through 2026. But I think that this is a really useful kind of review. We'll look at this median time. Might be a good idea. That's my accountant wife right there, my friends. That's my accountant wife. She's very smart. Okay, so Gen Con. There we go. So here's the Global 42 statistics. Here's the square. I don't know why it jumps out like that, but that's what it does. Okay, so this one is a little more tricky. Okay, so we got 24 games reporting. Again, not a huge sample size, but this is as many games as we recorded this year. We got 2 at the Spring Gathering, we got 5 at Gen Con, we got 15 at Battlefront Dayton. And if our time portion, like if our time record keeping among the players was getting better over the course of the year, which we seem pretty confident that it was, that we should feel pretty good about the numbers that are here. So 24 games reporting, 8 games won by the Axis, 16 won by the Allies. That is significant swing, particularly when you consider that the average bid was Axis plus 7.6. So the Axis are getting 7 or more IPCs per turn or for the bid, and they're still losing at a rate of 2 to 1. that's troublesome. I think we're going to, again, this is 24 games. Not a huge data set, but I think we're going to continue to look at this and see if there's something we can work out here. But average time used was 7 hours and 50 minutes. Again, max time for this game is 9 hours. So again, we had games going to close to the 9-hour mark, but a game that resigns at 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours obviously brings this number down substantially very quickly. So that is that's where that ended up. And then in terms of average time used per side, the Axis used 3 hours and 47 minutes. Allies using 4 hours and 3 minutes. So a difference of, what is that, 16 minutes?
Over 9 hours.
Almost 17 minutes. So 17 minutes, that might be worth keeping track of. And, if it's a matter of giving the Allies 15 minutes, they've got more.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, in global, they have more powers.
Yeah.
So
exactly. I'm not a global player, so I can't speak to it definitively. But I mean, if you think about it from the perspective of, if you cut that in half and gave the Axis 7 minutes, then it's equal. You know what I mean? Like, so having the Allies play the 15 minutes more, if you were trying to cut that delta in half and say, hey, you can't have 15 more minutes, the time's equal. It's like, it's just not that much more time,
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I think we need more data on this. 24 games, I don't think is enough to really. But I mean, but a 2-to-1 swing is, even if that's off by 20%, you're still 3-2.
It's a lot.
So,
well, the one, correct me if I'm wrong, but the content around global was an Allied victory, right? Isn't that kind of one of the biggest? The video that you did with Robin and Charles was about the Norway knockout or whatever, right? So, if your point stands about 42 second, maybe there's something to that with global also, as far as like, if there's a strategy that's kind of been shown at a high level to win, maybe people are trying to emulate that strategy, and that could be contributing to these numbers.
For sure. It would be interesting to see. I mean, of course we don't have this data, but best case we could get anecdotally would be to say, like, how frequently was the Norway knockout employed, right? Mm-hmm. Because like we walked around Gen Con last year and looked at the 42-second games, and nearly every one of them was playing some variation. Like, there were 2 carriers from the United States on turn 1 in the Pacific in almost every one of those games, right?
Yeah.
I would be curious to know if there were heavy U.S. bomber purchases, right? If they landed in Norway and tried to use that as a base to bomb Germany to smithereens, right? I think that would be interesting anecdotally to kind of try to figure out among the global group, right?
Yeah.
So,
because what I'm just trying to think, what was that? That was the 20. Was that the 24 global game at Gen Con that you did that video on with them?
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah. 2024.
Because Robin won in 24.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be a source of discussion among the global players over the holiday. It'll be interesting to see what the thinking is in terms of, I mean, yeah. So the win conditions do definitely, I think, lean to the Allies, because the Axis have to exceed a certain threshold. They've got to get 125 IPCs. I think that it's virtually impossible. No, I shouldn't say that, because it did happen at Battlefront Dayton. It's very difficult for the Axis to win on the Europe side of the map, right? They have to basically run the table over there in the time allowed, and that's pretty hard and pretty unusual. But it did happen at Battlefront Dayton. But more more common is that either Japan wins outright by getting the 6 VCs on the Pacific side of the map, or you get to the end and they have 125 IPCs in production, and then that's how they win, right? That's the
Yeah.
most common way that game ends is
Mhm.
through IPC production at the end of the game. And,
Mhm.
Is 125 the right number? Does that number need to be lower? Right? Or
Mhm.
does that, is there an adjustment that needs to be made to the setup? I don't know.
Yeah, like
Um,
42 second, right? I mean, the bids used to be, I heard they were as high as 20 to the Allies before
the 3.0
Larry
setup. Yeah.
with Greg's input came up with that
Yeah.
set.
And
Yeah.
I think the 3.0 setup is great. I think that
Yeah.
absolutely made that game a lot more balanced, and
Mhm.
it's basically the standard in a lot of different of the online spaces now. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how this plays out. I think I love
Very
the
interesting.
idea of the Global 42 game as the tournament standard, because if you're starting in 1940 or even 1941, there's still diplomatic things that are happening. People aren't at war, and I think that gets, but they're going to go to war, so there's all kinds of like weird little picadillos that you got to try to manage, and that slows everything down. I'd
Yeah.
rather the game start and like let's just jump in and let's be right at it. So we'll see. I think we might see some adjustments from Greg and Mike Davis, who kind of work on that together. Maybe they'll involve Larry. I don't really know how they make that sauce, but we'll see. I don't know. Well, I've sent all of this information to Mike and Greg, and they're,
Yeah,
I'm
good.
sure, still digesting it and trying to figure out, what it means to them, and we'll see. But cool. So yeah.
I would love to see the time data before clocks were on the table, because I don't think it was this balanced. But
No, I'm sure of it. Robert, I'm a new tournament player, but it seemed that the Allies have the advantage that if Germany doesn't capture Moscow by the end of round 3, the Allies won.
what
I'm still
version is
green,
that
but it
comment
seems
about?
this is
Is
going to be
that
about 42 second edition. Robert
42
played in the
second?
42 second edition tournament.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know that Germany takes Moscow on turn 3 very frequently. Um,
Maybe
Usually that's
five,
going to be turn
5 or
5 is
6.
usually where you're going to see that happen. Um, but a lot of the 42 games do come down to the big German staff, making it to Moscow and successfully taking Moscow. A lot of the games come down to that. That's absolutely true. Um, but I don't know that. I don't know that. I look at that game and I think that it's still pretty balanced because you know even though they're winning 3-2, it's because people are deploying this the strategy that we put out, and they haven't found the countermeasure yet.
Yeah,
And
I would still think that the Allies need a few IPCs in that version. I would not I wouldn't give the Axis any money. There's no
yeah,
way.
I don't think I would either. I don't think I would either. Um, I mean, I think that Larry and Greg and all the people that worked on that 3.0 setup, I think they absolutely killed it. I thought it was I think it's the
Yeah.
only thing that my only gripe with that at all is the placement of the bomber in Ukraine. Is it kind of scripts Russia's opening, right? If you're not making the 9-12 Russian opening in 1942 second edition and pushing until that bomber is destroyed, you're doing it wrong. Because like killing that bomber in that version is really, really important, because if you don't, that bomber can now hit Egypt and those German tanks can roll through, and it makes like the UK very, very difficult for them to defend Africa. It's just a whole thing.
Yeah, without getting too deep in it, I agree. I don't love the bomber there, but what else are you gonna do? I mean, you probably have to add like a cruiser or something to where the British battleship is. I don't remember what sea zone it is in that, and another like guy or tank even in Egypt, because otherwise the bomber just like
Right.
both of those battles are so imbalanced. If you have the bomber, like it's kind of
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That is absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. There's just. I mean, the point of putting it in Ukraine was to take it out of the Sea Zone 7 battle. Like
Yeah.
that was the whole point. So you couldn't sink the British fleet as easily as you can with the bomber. So I get it. I get why it's there.
Yeah.
It's
I
just
get it too.
tricky
Mhm.
in that it ends up kind of scripting the Russians' first opening.
Yeah. Yeah.
But as soon as you start rolling dice, you know what I mean? Like, who knows
Yep.
what happens with the Germans and so forth. So, but that's a good thought, Robert. Here we go. Here we go. I believe we rushed our advance in Europe. It was a great learning experience. Also, the KJF is amazing. Never saw that before, and had it happen to us, impressive. Best loss I've ever experienced. Okay, so yeah, so Robert played in our 42nd edition tournament, of course, at Battlefront Dayton, and he and his dad made the trip up from North Carolina, South Carolina, North Carolina, to play with us, and I'm glad that they had a good time. But yeah, that if you don't know how to counter the KJF, it's pretty hard. And I will say, like, don't get me wrong, when we say that we've got a solution for it, like, it's not a slam dunk. Our solution is not the Thorpe Thump can be beaten, right? There's no doubt about that. But it's even the countermeasures that we have in mind don't necessarily guarantee victory, but it certainly makes it better than 3-2, right?
Yep.
Does it just mean that you should hold out for a larger Axis bid to make it even? I'm not 100% sure which version that you're talking about here, but I would not advocate dramatically changing my bid in any of the versions based on the data that you've seen here. I think in 42nd, I think that people just need to figure out how to counter the Thorpe Thump, and we'll talk more about it as we go through. In Anniversary, I think that the bids are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and I think that's exactly right. In Global, I think we as we talked about, we've got a couple of things that we need to work on.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, if I were gonna play in a 1942 second edition tournament starting tomorrow, I would not give the Axis any money at all. That's just my take on it, my personal opinion, and I would expect to still get money as the Allies, despite this data. If you're not going to give me a few dollars to play the Allies, then I'll play the Axis. Because I think that I still think the Allies. I think the whatever tournament fix made it way more balanced. I still think out of the box with that tournament fix, the Axis have a little bit of an advantage, and I would want a couple dollars to play the Allies. That's my take on it. Still,
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you that if there was one more guy in Egypt,
yeah,
I think one dude in Egypt brings this game to parity,
yeah,
because that's, like, to me, the biggest swing is if Germany can break into and rush through Africa, it's very difficult for the Allies
yeah.
to hang on.
I've thought something similar.
Particularly if that happens on round one.
Yeah, I've had round ones where I kill that bomber and they still go for the Egypt attack, which is I don't remember the odds, maybe 40% toward
Yeah,
the
it's not
Axis
great,
or
but
something like that.
it's not impossible, but it's not high.
And they wiped me out, and I've totally lost the game. Just got demolished as the Allies because, yeah, they get all the African money really quickly. You basically lose that fighter, which is key in defense, key in C Zone 57. Like, it's just a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my preference for that, if the bomber dies, is to land in Transjordan and take Transjordan and then go back with the transport again, get another round of guys. So
Yeah.
you're landing Egypt on G2, blitzing G4 or G3 and G4 to get all the way through. So by the time you get to G5, like, you probably have everything in Africa except for Madagascar. And if you still have that transport, you might also be in Madagascar. So I think you can get a lot of use out of that. But okay. Even given the Axis bid and losing the ability to hit Japan on turn one wasn't an issue dealing with the British fleet in India worse for Jacob in our first game. By the way, I'm Josh. I played 42 second edition. Okay, so Josh won. Josh Saxton and his partner, Aces High, Tom Rowlett. I think I'm remembering that right. Tom Rowlett. They won the 42 second edition tournament and
Gave you the access money. Nice.
giving the Axis the bid and losing the ability to hit Japan on turn one wasn't an issue. Made dealing with the British fleet and India worse for Jacob in our first game. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, it can be overcome. So I think that's great. So
you're a braver man than me.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, if they don't know how to, if the Axis player doesn't know how to overcome and manage the Thorpe Thump, or the even a substantial KJF, then they're going to need some extra money. He's saying that they give the Axis money. They played 3 games. They gave the Axis money twice.
Dang.
And still,
how much?
Do you remember what the bid was, Josh? I don't know. That's kind of interesting. So anyway,
Never mind. I could go down this rabbit hole all night.
Yeah, I know, right? We could be there all day. But I do think that first, let me say thank you to everybody that took the time and used the clocks and filled out the forms for us at Spring Gathering and Gen Con. And thank you for Alex Thorpe for running around and getting people to fill out the iPad when we first were doing that. At Battlefront Dayton, we collected the information on the score sheets that were turned in. So they would report their win, and part of their reporting was how much time was used, what was the bid, so that it was all kind of in one place. And we didn't try to enter it at the event, but when I got home, I sat down and keyed it all into the spreadsheet myself, so it was a little bit easier. Axis plus 5 in game 1, Axis plus 4 in game 2. And then you played the Allies. So you gave them that bid, and then you played the Allies.
And won both times. Nice. Well done.
Yeah. Good job. Did you play the Thorpe Thump? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. Interesting.
I'd love to learn more about those games. That sounds interesting.
That's interesting. So he played in the 42 second edition tournament as well. Axis plus 4 in all 3 of his games.
I'm just I want to know where the Axis is putting this money and what the game is playing out.
Yeah.
Very interesting to me.
Yeah, no, I think, I think it's probably in artillery in China or in Japan, probably Kiangsu to try to get after that flying tiger is probably where I would put it. Or
yeah,
it was Kiangsu or Guangdong maybe. But because you can get that flying tiger on turn 1 in 42 second edition, so you can go after it. If you had an artillery in that space, it would make it a lot easier. You can go after it with everything, but there's a possibility you're going to lose some Japanese fighters when you try to do that. So, but having that extra artillery there would make that damn near a lock, right?
I think it's either that or maybe Libya to hit Egypt round 1.
Right, that would be the other.
Those are the other choice. In my mind immediately.
Interesting. Okay, so thank you to everybody who did all of that, and thank you to our volunteers who put the clocks together and made sure they were on the tables and handled all of that. It worked out really well. I'm really happy that we were able to collect all of this data. It is a lot. Like there's several pages of data, so what you're seeing is the summary, and I think that's probably all we're going to make public, just because the rest of it is minutia, and I don't know that it would be really helpful to anybody. But yeah, so apparently they landed in Libya quite a bit, so that makes sense. So yeah, I think that was all in all, I think it was very, very good. A couple of big shout outs to the sponsors for all these events. I mean, we could not have done this without, of course, our friends at Renegade, Historical Board Gaming, Combat Miniatures. Gen Con gave us those 10 badges, which was like amazing. And Nightingale Games sent us a bunch of stuff, and they were actually the primary sponsor for our special guests, right? So if you made it into the signing room, like that big banner that was behind there, that was Nightingale Games, and we printed that for them because they made it possible for Larry to come. They helped pay for his plane ticket and his hotel room and all of his travel expenses and so forth. So of course, we're very, very grateful to them. And congratulations to Diplomacy, the Golden Blade, taking home the very first Board Game Nation Ignis Award. So that was very, very cool. So congratulations to Rosco Schock. That was his very first game that he's ever designed.
Wow. That's
and
cool.
Like, when I say that there was like stiff competition in that room, there was a lot of competition in that room. And what I thought was interesting is that there weren't a lot of people signed up for the Golden Blade demos. Right? Like a couple of the Imperial Border demos were sold out. A couple of the War Room demos were sold out. Stalingrad demos were sold out. And it was really like just kind of Rosco like picking up games and saying, "Hey, let's do this here," and teaching it to people and hustling it. And he did great. It was fantastic. And Tony, Robert, you're absolutely right. Tony Prokes was a champ and running just a bunch of Axis and Allies naval miniatures demos, and he ran a big one like towards the end of the show for the Heroscape folks. Like they were just kind of walking around, and it was funny because they said, "Oh, we'd like to learn how to play Axis and Allies," and it was like 3:45, and the drawing was supposed to be at 6, and I'm like, you guys are not going to have time to get through a game. And so I walked him over to the casual table, and there's like 6 or 7 of them. I walked him over to the casual game library trying to find something, and one of them pointed at Guadalcanal and said, "Oh, I love Pacific naval battles." I was like, "Oh man, I got the thing for you." Walked him back out into the hall and took him over to Tony, and they sat there and played for 2.5 hours and just loved it. Just had a ball with it. Because I thought, man, like they're miniatures players. Like Heroscape is a bunch of miniatures.
There's actually similar. Like I got a card that tells me what the thing does, and there's hexes, and yeah.
Right, and like so they completely understood like how this is how this works. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So it was absolutely perfect. So it was very cool. So it was fun to see them kind of embrace the other games that were there. And I was talking to Tommy before we went on the air, and apparently he's a big Axis and Allies player. And Tommy Adams, he was the Heroscape tournament organizer, and he was saying that if he had been able to be there on Sunday, that he was planning to spend all day Sunday like over in the Axis and Allies space. So, like, that's cool. I mean, there's some crossover there, so I think that's pretty cool. I would like to have seen some of the Axis and Allies people over there learning Heroscape. I think that would have been cool too, but I don't think you. What am I talking about? You were over there and saw it and learned how to play with Alex and Max. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the cross pollination. Like I love it.
Fun.
All right. Jamie was the engine behind all of this. Like, make no mistake, my friends, like without her, like none of this moves forward. So, so she was absolutely rock star for this. Tracy, Volunteer of the Year, Board Game Nation Volunteer of the Year, Tracy Hyde, and Brian Hyde was the Member of the Year. We recognized both of them at Battlefront Dayton this year. We also gave a really nice gift to Dave Jensen. He was celebrating 25 years of since the inception of AxisandAllies.org. And so he, in 2025, went to the Spring Gathering, Gen Con, and then came out from California to Battlefront Dayton. And we gave him a nice compass and created a new award that is the Board Game Nation Ambassador of the Year award. And we named it for him. So next year, the Dave Jensen Axis and Allies Ambassador of the Year award will be named for him. And I told him it was kind of a hook to like make sure that he comes out, because like who else is going to award this thing? I'm just trying to sell tickets, Dave. I'm just trying to sell tickets. No, he was great about it, and
Yeah.
he was very surprised. And we gave him an artillery, like a World War II artillery compass. And I said something about like he's kind of been like the North Star for the community for 25 years, right? Like in terms of making sure that people are able to find events and interact with the community, and kept the forums going, and you know he's been great. So he's been great for the community, and he's kind of done it all by himself, which is even more kind of amazing. So it was nice to be able to recognize him, particularly with Larry there and Matt Hyra from Renegade. Like it was nice to be able to acknowledge his contributions to the community. So I was happy to be able to do that. And then we gave Larry that map that we've been pestering everybody to sign all year, the premium anniversary rollout map that we had folks sign it at the Spring Gathering. We had him sign it at Gen Con, and we had him sign it again at Battlefront Dayton. And I think it easily had a couple hundred signatures on it. So one downside though is it was the only anniversary rollout map I own. So I don't have one now. And they're out of stock at Renegade. So I'm gonna have to call Jordan and see if he can't find one in the back for me. But yeah, and thank you so much to Larry Harris for making the trip and coming out and spending so much time and being so generous with all of the people that were there. He had dinner with several people, and talked to a lot of the budding game designers, the gamesmiths, talked with them about their game, Six Empires, and it was very nice. He got a really nice standing ovation from everybody, which was very and it was emotional, right? Like there was a really great moment. Let me tell you this moment, and we'll get out of here. Larry arrived Thursday night, and John Bosch was my assistant tournament organizer, who did a fantastic job, by the way. Like he's my favorite kind of lunatic. Let me just tell you, John Bosch, he's a lunatic. Make no mistake. But he's my favorite kind of lunatic because he's just got all this energy, and he's out there like making sure everything's doing what it's supposed to be doing. He's out there, and he's had like 6 wardrobe changes in a day. He dressed up as MacArthur at one point, and he also switched into the Admiral Keelhaul costume from when we did the G.I. Joe video. He had the little stupid and then just it was funny. It was funny as hell.
I missed that.
Yeah, he was absolutely great. We really, really appreciated his help. Again, like could not have done this without him. I couldn't have been able to keep track of 3 big tournaments happening all at the same time and be in the live stream and answering questions. And so, yeah, it was, he was absolutely a godsend and was fantastic. But in preparation for his role as the assistant tournament organizer, he went and he pulled all of his rule books for every version of Axis and Allies. And he 3-hole punched them and put them in this big binder, right? And he was also prepared, in case something happened to Randy, he was also prepared to run the demos for War Room and Imperial Borders.
Wow.
Right? Like this is the prep John put into this, by the way. And so he had all of this in one big 3-ring binder that was sitting on a table. And Larry and I were kind of walking around the space on Thursday night. I was kind of giving him the lay of the land. And yeah, he did have the errata too, Robin. He had all of it in this binder, which was like, John's a lawyer, so he was prepped for battle. And Larry saw this binder sitting on the table, like with classic 1984 on top and Imperial Borders on the bottom, right? And he starts flipping through it. And I said, what's it feel like to see your life's work in a binder? And he was kind of taken back by it. And he was like, yeah, that really is it's not everything, because he had, of course, Conquest of the Empire and, broadsides and boarding parties and it does in other games. But like the core of his work has been in Axis and Allies and War Room, of course, which was in there, and Imperial Borders, which he's been working on for 5 years. So it's it was moving for him to kind of, because he's getting older, right? And he's looking back at like all the work that he's done, and the, we all hope that we have an impact, right, on the world in general, and for him to be able to be there and see all of that there because of the things that he's done, and all of these people coming together and playing the games that he created, like, was just was really, really moving. And I thought it was very cool that he was able to be there. And I'm hoping, it's possible in theory that he might be able to be there again. But that's a long time from now. So we'll let him recover from his cold. This was probably my favorite picture that was taken of him at the show. I think Tracy got this picture.
That's a good one.
Tracy was basically following him around and like trying to sneak pictures, right? Because it's not that he's particularly camera shy, but he, she was looking for candid shots, and this I think was one of them. And I love this picture, and it's a nice like upshot from War Room, and I think he's got a great expression there. So, but I thought that was pretty cool. And this was the map that we gave him. Let's see if I can get this on screen real quick. It's going to come up. It's going to come up. Yeah, there it is. Yeah. So he was pretty moved by this. He talked about having just an enormous amount of really cool stuff on his walls at home, and that he was going to move a bunch of that stuff so that he could frame this and put it on the wall in his house and in his studio, right? And so he was pretty moved by that, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. So it was great to have him there. It was great to have Matt Hyra there. Fun fact, this was the very first time that they have ever met in person. They had never been in the same space together at the same time. And that Thursday night, they'd both arrived, the 6th. And they, I'm trying to find I actually caught the moment where they met for the first, there it is. At the restaurant, I caught them like shaking hands for the very first time. They've of course worked together for years on different projects, right? But this is the first time they'd ever been in the same space together. And I just love that we were able to facilitate that. And they did have several like comments inside, like private conversations where they were able to meet. And the three of us actually sat down and had a really interesting conversation about a couple of new Axis and Allies products that are on the horizon that I cannot tell you about, but they are pretty cool. So that's pretty exciting stuff. So, hey, Carl's here. What's up, Carl? Good to see you. Rick Gibson, you just rolled in here. Good to see you. Yes, Tracy snuck up on him quite a bit. That is pretty cool. So awesome. So again, thank you so much to the volunteers and all the sponsors and Doug for hanging out and bringing the people, and we want to see pictures of your trophies. If you've won one of these trophies, please take a picture of yourself with it or in where it has landed in your home. Hopefully it's in a place of honor of some kind. Please don't send me pictures of it sitting on top of your trash can or a milk crate or something. Like, we want these to look nice. So yeah, it was, if you can send those through to the Facebook group, let me drop that link one more time, so that we can have those for premiumwoodart.com. I think that would be very nice for them to be able to have, because they did a great job for us, and we hope to be able to use them again in the future. And if you want to go shop over there, 10% off, BGN10, good stuff. Anyway, awesome. Doug, anything else for the people?
No, it was a good experience. Enjoyed it, and hope you do it again in the future, man.
I hope so too. I think it was good. It was a lot. was a lot of work to do, but it was successful, and we're still in recovery a little bit here. We're gonna take a little bit of a break over the Thanksgiving holiday, but as soon as I'm back in December, channel update. Dun, 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 dun. This needs a noise of some kind. That's not what I was going for. I don't know. Yeah, here it is. The World Championship Series is on the horizon. We're going to be covering several games. I don't know exactly the total number yet, but we have locked in with Renegade. The first weekend, we're going to do 5 videos in January. We're going to do the final for 42nd edition. We're going to... Are you all right there, bro? You look like we're going to lose you there for a second. On the first... He's still dying. That's all right. Oh, and he's gone now. Bye-bye. Good playing with you, Doug. Sorry.
My chest doesn't hurt as much.
Okay, good. Yeah, so the first Friday we're doing the 42nd edition final from Gen Con. And then we're going to do a quarterfinal match from the World Championship, which is going to be the anniversary edition. The next week will be a quarterfinal, and then we're going to do semifinal 1, semifinal 2, and then we'll do the final match in that last week. So we've got 5 videos, 5 live streams set up for January. We may have other earlier round content as I start to kind of go through it when I get back from the holiday. So probably December 1st, I'll start pouring through that and really laying out the production schedule for all that's going to go. So my objective, if you've followed us for the last couple of years, usually what ends up what's happened the last 2 years that I'm very much hoping does not happen this year is that I fall hopelessly behind in the production schedule, and I end up sleeping under my desk the night before and publishing the videos like half an hour before the live stream starts and all kinds of silliness. So we're going to hope to avoid that this year, and we're going to try to get a jump on the production of this. So, one last thing, one last piece of content that we are tempted to make. The Board Game Nation blackjack scoring system worked very, very well at this tournament. It did a good job, I think, of getting the right players against each other in the final. We ranked them by win-loss percentage and then points awarded. And then if there was a tie break at that point, it would be time. Except in global, then it was total IPCs created. But it did a good job. But it did one thing that was, I don't know, we knew it was going to happen, but it was unavoidable, but it's how it worked. So going into the final day, there were 3 teams that were undefeated, right? There were 3 teams that were 2-0, 4 teams that were 2-0 going into the final match. And so we paired them based on their previous scores, right? And so Doug and Carl were in the lead. Steve and Henry were second. They were the Bellagio boys. And then Barry and Joey were third. And the Salt Lake Sea Dogs were fourth, and that was Mark Miller and Brian Swinson out of Utah. And so, of course, when that game was over, there were going to be 2 teams that were 3-0. So those teams were Ad Hoc, Doug and Carl, and Barry and Joey. And Barry Dano is his full name is Barry Dano. So their team name was Bookham. I gave them that name. I thought it was funny. Barry also agreed. He thought it was funny too, so it was fine. So Bookham also had a perfect record coming out, but they did not have as many points as Ad Hoc, right? So they came in second, and Doug and Carl won. So, but now we've got 2 teams that are undefeated at the end of Battlefront Dayton. And that's okay because it's a Swiss pairing tournament, and that's kind of the nature of it, right? So I don't feel like there's a controversy here, but there's still 2 teams that are undefeated. So what I would love to try to arrange, and I haven't spoken with Barry or Joey about this yet, or Carl. Carl, if you're here, feel free to chime into this. But what I would like to arrange is a live streamed game that is Carl and Doug versus Barry and Joey. And we'll do it the same way that we did it with as Gary and Doug versus the World. where they'll send in their moves, like in real time. They'll say, we're going to do this, this, and this. And then I'll roll for everybody on camera. And I'll set it up on my table, and they can set up tables of their own and in their own locations so that they can see what's going on. But I haven't actually reached out to Barry about it yet, but I did try to reach to Joey because Dominic won that game, the copy of Diplomacy. But I haven't heard back from him yet. So is that something you guys would be interested to see? I guess that's my question. Like, it'd be a fair amount of work, but I don't know if, like, would you watch that? I think it'd be fun. And undoubtedly I would have my own commentary the whole time. Like, because it's just an exhibition game. I won't say it doesn't matter who wins, because of course it matters who wins, but it will, I think that'd be interesting. Anybody care about that? I don't know. We'll see.
I don't want you rolling for me, man.
I roll for everybody. I'm impartial. That's what I think. I don't know. I just think it'd be fun. We'll do it on like a Saturday night or a Sunday night, and maybe start at like 4 and play until 10, something like that. And I don't know, beer and pretzels, the whole thing. But I think it'd be fun. It would be interesting. So the one thing that we would have to set up is a way for Doug and Carl to talk to each other privately, and for Joey and Barry to talk to each other privately, right? Jamie, I would watch that. You would sleep through that is what you would do. That's what would happen. So you'd have to have like a separate phone line and be able to mute each other, or, mute your talking so we wouldn't be able to hear. But just be aware, I'm going to say whatever I'm going to say. And I won't throw the game or whatever. Yeah, we would probably, no, I don't know. We could set it for 6 rounds. Or we could say, like, I could keep a clock, right? We could figure it out. We might also use Discord as well, just to plug the audio through Discord. I don't know how that would work. I'd have to look into that. But we know how to do it using Ecamm, because we did it for Gary and Doug versus the World. So we could certainly do it that way. But yeah, so if that's something you're interested in, let us know in the comments. I think it'd be fun. I got to talk to Barry and Carl and Joey and see if they're down. And then, of course, as is the struggle with all games of Axis and Allies, we have to find the time that everyone's available to make it actually work. So we'll see. And but as someone who does a ton of video editing, I like that it would be live, and I would not have to recreate it on the table and then do the whole show. The show is fun, don't get me wrong, but it's a ton of work. So anyway, some thought for food. One last thing. Drew Dixon. If anybody knows Andrew Dixon, please have him reach out. I sent him an email about it. He won this in the raffle. I've emailed him about it, but he hasn't gotten back to me. So if anybody knows Andrew Dixon, please have him respond to my email so that I can send him this very cool copy of this very cool game. Like, I think the pieces are made of gold. I'm not sure. I think this is like it's like a $1,200 game. It's not $1,200, but it's it's over $100.
It's definitely $5.99.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. I mean, it's got like all the premium components and stuff. 60-year anniversary. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. I think that's what we got. I think we've had a pretty good run. Thank you very much for taking the time to sit with us, and hit that like button for us on the way out the door. We've had some pretty good discussion today. Lots of thoughts, of course, to talk about with the time study and the blackjack scoring system. That under no circumstances do I believe that system is perfect. No, but I think it was a really good start, and I think that it worked well at that event. And we're gonna hopefully be able to improve that. Give it a couple of tweaks and be able to use that moving forward. So all good stuff. All right, my friend. Go take some cough medicine. Go lay down. You sound like hell. And feel better.
Thanks, man. All right. Have a good one.
All right, brother. We'll talk again soon. Have a great night. Good night, everybody.
Bye, everybody.